today's video, or this video, we're going to get the base character class set up in my list of items here. I wanted to get a base character class and then subclass to a hero and enemy class from that. We'll see if we get through all of those. Hopefully we do. Couple of things though before we get there. Relaunching the editor here, I get brought back to this in untitled landscape map, which I don't want to happen all the time in my new template. So we'll go to project settings and we'll go under maps and modes here. And what we're going to do is we're going to change our editor startup map, and I'm going to set it to be our workshop level. And my game default map is going to be my workshop level. I think that's going to be a better spot to constantly start at going forward from there. So that's good. The other thing I wanted to change or update here is I want to go into editor preferences, and I'm going to search for live coding. And I'm going to disable live coding. Reason being, it's really great when it works, and it's been working better, but it also, um, you get strange errors, and it's mostly because of changes in the CPP files or the .h files that don't get brought forward because of when the engine gets started up, and so it gets out of sync and stuff like that. So I've been instructed and told by others that just disable that, restart your editor between major compiles. Now and then, if you're just changing a small thing, you can manually run it, but generally just turn that off. That's two things. Now, and I'm not gonna go through how to do it, but just know that there is a pretty good source here from Epic for setting up Visual Studio um, with Unreal Engine. And so I'm in 5.3 right now, so that's all good using Visual Studio 2022. And it's all pretty straightforward, just kind of giving you the highlighting of which modules that you need to have installed, and some other settings as they go through their recommendations. So it's a pretty good setup, and it should get most people all the way that they need to get to. So that's it for that. Um, so yeah, I think that's all we need for now. I'm going to just open my workshop levels just to have it open and ready for us. Um, okay, so let's go and get our first C++ class. Um, I do have up in settings to show our C++ classes, but we don't have any, and that's why we don't have a folder for it over here yet. So we're going to go into Tools. We're going to go to New C++ class. And I'm going to create a new character class. And I'm going to click Next. This public and private thing, I think, is the best way to go. It does organize your code a lot better, and I'll just drag over one that I've been on. And basically, this is what it ends up looking like. Let me just, I guess that's as big as that can get. So you have all of your private and all of your in your private folder, and then you have a public folder when it builds out um, your source structure. And so in your public, it's going to be all your .h files, and in your private is all your CPP files. I think that is a good way to go. I did a couple of courses where those weren't separated, and it did get a little bit more cluttered. So, I guess that's a preference thing, maybe. I don't know. But that's what we're going to do here. We're going to have a public, do the public private thing. And this new character class that I'm going to create, I'm going to call my HFX character base. So it'll be my base class. And I'm going to, I don't want it in just a straight up folder. I want those to be in a subfolder. And so we're going to put those into character. And I'm going to create class. When I hit create class, it's opening Visual Studio on my other monitor right now. But what we'll see here shortly is a pop-up wanting to complete compilation. Just waiting for it here. Maybe you'll see this, maybe you won't if I edit it out. This might be taking a little longer because this is the first time that it's running. And it might be doing this because the live coding was enabled and I disabled it, but maybe it's since I didn't restart the editor, it's still doing it. And this might be that first compilation of the entire project. So I'll probably edit all this out. I'm going to just pause. So that only took a couple minutes. Um, I've got a pretty good computer here. If I think of the names and numbers, the 5950 AMD, uh, so 16 cores, 32 cores, or whatever, how you want to, 32 threads, and 64 gigs of RAM. So I think lots of RAM is great when if you're going to be developing, because everything once initially loaded, everything kind of more or less gets loaded into memory, and future compiles are much quicker. Anyways, we're back to here. I get a pop-up to reload my classes, but our class, it actually did create. That's kind of new. I guess something worked. Anyways, what I'm going to do though is I'm going to exit the editor. This is a standard thing that I keep doing. And I'm going to pull Visual Studio over here. And let's take a look at our quick class here that it started up. So we've got our actor class, character class here, based on a character. There's our character base. It's set up with our tick function, which we would want, and our basic stuff here, which we're not going to change anything of this right now. I'm going to just save all of this. It created us our project called HFX template. I got this little question mark here because of version control, which I haven't set up yet for this particular project. As I don't know if I'm going to, but maybe I will. And that could be another video too of setting up. I'm using Perforce because it's free for users for 5 users or less. So anyways, um, so let's now from here, I'm going to, well, I can build it. Uh, that all worked, which is good. And then we're going to just start the editor without debugging, and we'll restart, and we'll open up and see, and we'll create and we'll, no, I guess we'll create um, a blueprint based on this character class. And we're going to put that in blueprints characters. Okay, so one way to do that is I can just right click here. I can create a blueprint class based on this character base. And I'm going to just call it BP underscore character base, and I'm going to put it in blueprints, characters, and create. Oh, see, here's another setting I'm going to change. So new windows open up in separate views. So we're going to close that. I'm going to go into editor preferences, and I'm going to search for window. Mm, uh, start open. Asset editor open location under user interface. I'm going to make it set to the open to the main window. Okay, so I'm going to close that. And now if I go to my blueprint base class here and double click it, now it opens up into the top, which is what I want. So let's take a look at this quickly. Um, so it's got all your basic blueprint event graph and stuff. We got our viewport, we got a capsule control or component, and we have an arrow and a skeletal mesh, character mesh component, skeletal mesh asset, excuse me, and a character movement component. So that's great. I think that's something that we're going to want everything to have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this, I was going to make it visible. Anyways, hide? No. I just kind of want to be able to see it in the editor when we're first starting to use it. Um, hidden in game, there it is. I want to uncheck that just so that we have something so that we know that if we ever started with this, and for anything that we derive from this, we'll then have that setting set, and but we can turn that off later, and then that's fine. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do there for now. And the next one is we want to derive a hero character from that. So see, I go slow sometimes, so I'm sorry about that. Um, so I can create a C++ class derived from HFX character base. So that's what I want to do. There's a couple ways to do it. You could either just select that, which is pretty easy, or we can go into new C++ class, go under all classes, and we can search for our HFX character base. Now, HFX, that's just because that's my name. Well, in some order. Anyways, I'm going to base off of that character base. Go next. Um, I'm going to just leave it in the character classes. I don't think we need extra subdirectories. Again, they all start to cut into your whatever number of characters that you got long. The editor here will warn you when your character string gets too long, but let's not get there. I'm going to call this one uh, hero character. Okay, and I think that's a good way to call it. And I'm going to create that one. Yeah, there's another setting I must have to change because it's recompiling when I kind of don't want it to do that. See, because then it does this hot reload stuff. Let's go check for that. Um, Editor preferences. Da, 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 da. Automatically compile newly added C++ classes. I'd like to disable that, please. It shouldn't have done it because I disabled live coding. But the checkbox is still there and it seems to still be doing it. So if I enable live coding, see hot reload. Let's type in hot. See, now I can uncheck this one. I don't know why I couldn't do it before. So yeah, so I don't want it to do that because it just ultimately I'm going to come up with an error and hate my life. It's working right now, and maybe 5.3, maybe they've improved all of that. But what we normally get is a pop-up and it says, "Do you want to recompile this?" You say no, close your editor. I know it seems to be funny, but then you go to your Visual Studio and now it wants to reload everything, which takes it just a second. And then you've got all of your new um, new classes setting up here. So we got our characters, hero and base. And here's our hero character. That's great. And that's all I need in there right now. I'm going to save that. Don't know what this is all excited about. I'm going to close that. Okay, so let's again, we can build it. Boop. Of course, it should be fine. Yep. And then let's start again without debugging right now. Okay. And now let's go back to our character classes. And this time I'm going to create one because this one is going to be slightly different than the hero when we start to put the extra pieces in it. The hero is going to have a camera and spring arm and other things like that, and do a lot more input control and everything else because we're going to be controlling that one. The enemy class is going to be more AI controlled, and it doesn't need a camera view unless I guess your game has enemy views from your camera, enemy viewpoints, which would be kind of cool. So let's just try this way. Let's go with create another one. We're going to leave it in character, and this one I'm going to call enemy character. I guess they're still going to be base characters, but it's less of the base. So I'm going to say create that. Let's see what kind of pop-up we get this time. Yes, this little message. So it added it, but you must recompile from your module from your before it'll appear. And I'm going to say no. See how it doesn't show up. And then I'm going to close it. And I'm going to reload all. And I have to say, um, it's already done that here. Because we got it right here, our enemy character and enemy character H. That it was working quite well. From 5.2 to 5.3, they seem to have fixed some stuff there, which is great. And so here, with that built, I'm going to build my template again. And we have success. And let's restart our editor. And look at our content browser. And so now we got our character base, we got a hero and an enemy. Perfect. And let me just check the timeline here, what we're at. if I knew where to see that. So we're just over 13 minutes. I might end it here before we get into, well, let's create a blueprint class out of each one of these and have it into our character blueprint folder. So let's get our hero character and let's create a blueprint for it. We'll go into blueprint characters and I'm just going to call this BP_hero character. Let's create that. And it opened up here. And then we're going to go back to our content, go to our classes, and do one for the enemy. And we're going to put that again into characters. I'm going to go BP, enemy character. Great. And compile that. Save. Save. One thing I just noticed is that this capsule component that I said to be unhidden in game in my base class actually showed up as hidden in game. It shouldn't have happened. But, you know, like I say, there's things that work and all the time, and sometimes you got to double check, especially blueprints from C++ classes, especially if you go then update your C++ class and you already got an active like blueprint that you pulled into your level. Sometimes those settings don't propagate through to the ones that are on the level, or at least that was a problem I've noticed in past versions, which made you have to like delete the thing and re-import it, or you know, um, kind of they say, well, just recompile everything that you push the button. Maybe it does something, maybe it doesn't. It's hard to say. Anyways, um, always double check things, especially if you're starting getting odd behaviors. That's where to start with that kind of thing. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for this video. That's a pretty basic start. What I want to do is flush out these hero and enemy characters a little bit with some spring arms and cameras and some of the other basic starting points before we move much further on with this. So thanks a lot for watching.